What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, as all NFL fans know, Dan Campbell is the new head coach of our Detroit Lions. And although throughout the offseason he might not have been the biggest name candidate, although throughout the offseason he might not have been everybody's first option to be the head coach, the fact of the matter is that he is here now, and what he has done so far for the Detroit Lions has been phenomenal. And he already in his short time with the Lions is starting to show something that I like to call the Dan Campbell effect. Now, what is the Dan Campbell effect, you might be asking? Well, that, good people, is what we will be talking about in today's video. We'll be talking about the Dan Campbell effect, what he's done for the Detroit Lions so far, and why he might be the best coaching hire of the offseason out of everybody from the NFL coaching carousel. Now, before we get into the video talking about the Dan Campbell effect and what the Dan Campbell effect has done for the Detroit Lions so far, if you are new to the video and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of your day to do so. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. It'd be super helpful, and I'd be super appreciative for it. So if you could take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be super appreciative. But with all of that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into taking a deep dive at Dan Campbell and taking a look at the Dan Campbell effect and what it does and what it will do for the Detroit Lions moving forward into the offseason. Now, as I said, Dan Campbell in the coaching carousel this year wasn't necessarily the biggest name target. You know, a lot of Lions fans were looking for Robert Saleh. A lot of Lions fans were looking for Brian Daboll. A lot of Lions fans were looking for Eric Bieniemy or one of the other big name coaches that was on the carousel. However, the Lions did not go after the big name guy. The Lions did not go after the Robert Saleh, the Eric Bieniemy, or the Brian Daboll. They decided to go after Dan Campbell. Now, this hire immediately did not sit well with Detroit Lions fans, as Dan Campbell was not brought in to call plays. Dan Campbell was not brought in to develop game plans or develop schemes. He was not brought in to be an X's and O's guy and run and call defensive plays like we were hoping to see out of our next head coach. However, Dan Campbell brings a different strength to this Lions team. And as I said in the beginning of the video, he brings the Dan Campbell effect. Now, what is the Dan Campbell effect and what was he brought here to do? Well, when Dan Campbell was brought in to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions, his job was simple: bring in the talent. Bring in the best staff, the best coaches, and the best players you can find to make this team a winner. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what he's done so far, and that is the Dan Campbell effect. Dan Campbell, in his short time in Detroit, in his short time as the Lions head coach, has already done a phenomenal job bringing in the coaching talent to make this team successful and make this team competitive again in the near future. I mean, you look at offensive coordinator Anthony Lynn. He chose to be here with the Detroit Lions and be this offensive coordinator when he had other options available. There were rumors that he might go to Seattle. There were rumors he might go to Tennessee. There were other rumors saying he might go other places as well. However, he decided to go to Detroit of all places. Instead of going to work with Russell Wilson, instead of going to work with Tennessee and Derrick Henry, he decided to come here with Detroit and work with Dan Campbell. You look at our new defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn. You know, he chose Detroit over a place like Chicago, and I'm not ashamed to say it, Chicago has much better defensive pieces in their organization than the Detroit Lions do right now. The Lions don't have a Khalil Mack. They don't have a Robert Quinn. They don't have a Roquan Smith or an Eddie Jackson. You know, they don't have those really big name superstar defensive players, and yet Aaron Glenn decided to go with Dan Campbell over the defensive talent in Chicago. You look at our running backs coach, Deuce Staley, a 10-year veteran with the Philadelphia Eagles and a guy that had no lack of interest as a running backs coach in other organizations, and organizations in much better situations than the Detroit Lions, and yet Deuce Staley decided to go to Detroit versus any of those places. You look at Aubrey Pleasant, the new defensive backs coach. He was one of the biggest name targets at defensive backs coach and even had a little bit of interest at defensive coordinator, and yet instead of going to any of those other teams that had interest in likely teams that had better situations than the Detroit Lions, Aubrey Pleasant came to the Detroit Lions of all places, not to work with one particular player, but to work with Dan Campbell again. You know, you look at the Lions' most recent hire in former wide receiver and current wide receivers coach Rantoine Andel. He had the opportunity to be an assistant offensive coach with the Super Bowl champion and the reigning Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yet, instead of staying with Super Bowl champions, instead of staying at the highest and the best organization in the NFL right now, he decided to leave that behind and come be a wide receivers coach for the Detroit Lions. You know, Antoine Randall went from a situation where he had Mike Evans and Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson to a situation with Geronimo Allison and Quintez Cephas and a lot of question marks. You don't do that as a coach unless you have faith in the guy that's hiring you and unless you have faith in Dan Campbell. These moves would not happen. These former players and these former coaches, these former coordinators and these former head coaches would not be here in Detroit if it was not for Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell brings these guys in. If Matt Patricia were still here and he were looking to rebuild his regime, I guarantee you Anthony Lynn would not be a Lion. Deuce Staley would not be a Lion. Aaron Glenn would be in Chicago. You know, Antoine Randall would still be in Tampa Bay. Aubrey Pleasant would still be in Los Angeles. Without Dan Campbell, this regime does not exist. This regime is not built, and this regime does not look anywhere near as good as it does right now for the Detroit Lions. You know, Dan Campbell has this effect on people, and you hear it when anybody from the Lions organization talks about coming here. They asked Aaron Glenn why he came here over Chicago, and he mentioned Dan Campbell. They talked to Deuce Staley about why he decided Detroit. He said that Dan Campbell's energy, his passion, his fire just made it feel right for him to come to Detroit. You talk with Anthony Lynn. He talks about Dan Campbell's ability. He talks about Dan Campbell's fire and his passion, and that's why he felt like he should come to Detroit. You talk with Antoine Randall or, you know, Aubrey Pleasant. They'll say the exact same thing. The consensus answer when coaches are asked why they decided to come to Detroit of all places, the consensus answer is Dan Campbell. Now, why does Dan Campbell have this effect on people, you might ask? Why does Dan Campbell have this effect on people? Dan Campbell is not the biggest name coach. He's not the biggest name head coach. He's not a first-time head coach, but he's a relatively young and inexperienced head coach. Why does Dan Campbell have this effect opposed to guys like Robert Saleh, opposed to other coaches that are getting jobs right now and looking to build their new regime? Well, when looking at Dan Campbell and when his coaches and coordinators talk about him, they mention his fire, his passion, his ability, his love for the game of football, his love for his players and his coaching staff. They talk about his fire and his passion and his leadership and his ability to lead men. That is the Dan Campbell effect. Dan Campbell's fire and passion, Dan Campbell's ability to be a leader draws people in. And we've seen it already with the coaching staff. As I said, if Dan Campbell weren't here, Anthony Lynn would not be our offensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn would not be our defensive coordinator. Deuce Staley would not be our running backs coach or our assistant head coach. You know, Antoine Randall would not be our wide receivers coach. You know, you look at Aubrey Pleasant, he would definitely not be here in Detroit if it weren't for Dan Campbell. And yet, with the one hiring, with the one signing of Dan Campbell to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions, when nobody else would give him a chance, the Lions have all of a sudden become a desired location for coaches, and I don't believe it's going to stop just at coaches. This whole situation, this Dan Campbell effect, will have an effect on former players. This Dan Campbell effect will draw in free agents. It will draw in UDFAs and different prospects and different players to come play for the Detroit Lions where they otherwise may not have. You know, you look at this class this year, you look at this free agent class, you look at the prospects that might be UDFAs and looking and have an opportunity to go anywhere they want out of the NFL draft. A lot of these players will look at Detroit as a top landing spot because of the Dan Campbell effect. They're not going to come here because they're going to win Super Bowls. They're not going to come here because they're going to love the city of Detroit. They're not going to come here because they love the warm weather that Detroit has to offer. You know, they're not going to come here for the city. They're not going to come here for the fans. They're not going to come here to win championships. They are going to come here for Dan Campbell. They're going to want to be coached by Dan Campbell. They're going to want want to learn under Dan Campbell. They're going to want to work and learn and develop and grow as people, as players, and as prospects under Dan Campbell. And that is the effect he has on people. That is the effect he's going to have on players and coaches and regimes and everything involving your head coach. That is the effect that Dan Campbell has. Dan Campbell's job was not to draw the X's and O's. Dan Campbell's job is not to call the plays or develop schemes or develop game plans for the week's opponent. Dan Campbell's job is to bring in the talent. And that lone job, that seemingly simple job that Dan Campbell was given as the head coach of the Detroit Lions, is one in which Dan Campbell is executing flawlessly so far. He is being relentless in his hires. He is being relentless. He is getting the best guys for the best situation in Detroit. Again, if you look at any other coaching staff, if you look at, if Matt Patricia was here, these guys would not be here. The only reason this coaching staff is here, the only reason that big name free agents will start to pick Detroit over Chicago or Minnesota or Seattle or Tennessee is because of Dan Campbell. They're not going to come here to win championships right away. Especially this free agency class, they're not going to come here to win championships. They're not going to come here because they like the snow in Detroit. They're going to come here because they love Dan Campbell and because they want to play for Dan Campbell. And sometimes you don't need a guy to draw the X's and O's. Sometimes you don't need a guy to come up with the game plan every single week and come up with the most complicated, the most complex scheme to get his players to look the best. Sometimes all you need as an organization is a guy that can bring you talent, a guy that can identify you talent, and a guy that can convince the talent that Detroit or wherever you are is the best spot to be. And from that standpoint, with the job that Dan Campbell was given when he was asked to rebuild this Lions franchise, that is why he got the job, and that is why Dan Campbell will be successful as the Lions head coach. Now, with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Again, I thought this was a very interesting thing. Dan Campbell obviously wasn't the biggest name coach, wasn't the biggest name hire when it was all said and done. And when the Lions were looking for a head coach, Dan Campbell wasn't even in the top 10 candidates that people were talking about. However, Dan Campbell, in his short time in Detroit, has had a lasting effect on the Detroit Lions, has had a lasting effect in building regimes and building this new team. And if the recent history is any indication of how this rebuild is going to go, it will be a very fun and a very exciting process as Dan Campbell continues to lure people in, as he continues to draw in free agents and top prospects and top players from the NFL to come and play for him as the Detroit Lions and with the Detroit Lions. This rebuild will get underway much faster than many expected, and this rebuild may be the final time in a long time that the Detroit Lions will need a rebuild. With all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Again, let me know what you guys think about Dan Campbell down in the comments below. I know we've talked about him a lot in the past. I know a lot of people like him. I know a lot of people that do not like Dan Campbell. So let me know your opinion of the coach down in the comments below. How do you think his tenure in Detroit is going to go? And how do you think his tenure has gone so far with the Detroit Lions? I'd be very interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching the video. If there is Lions news before tomorrow, then I will obviously make a video about it, or I will see you tomorrow in our next Detroit Lions talk. Now, with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow at the live stream. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for showing up. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.